Listen closely, because what you are about to hear is not an accident. You did not stumble into these words. You were called to them. The old version of you has been whispering its last breath, and the new awareness is pressing against the walls of your reality, waiting to break through. This is not a coincidence. It is a summons. Every moment you resist, the loop tightens. Every moment you release, the portal widens. You are standing at the threshold of a quantum shift, and the only key you need is to let go of the old you. You are not broken. You are outgrowing. Feel these words, because they are not just ideas. They are a mirror reflecting back the truth you have been trying to put into words for years. The heaviness you carry, the frustration you feel when the same cycles repeat, the nagging sense that you are made for more yet somehow trapped in the familiar. It is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is proof that you are expanding beyond the version of yourself you have worn until now. You are not malfunctioning. You are shed. And just as a snake writhes uncomfortably when the skin that once protected it becomes too small, you are moving against the edges of the old you, ready to step into a greater capacity that has always been waiting. Think about how clothes fit. As a child you had shirts and shoes that once felt perfect. But as you grew, they became too tight, too small, no longer able to stretch with you. You didn't curse the clothes for being wrong. You simply realized they were no longer yours to wear. This is what's happening with your identity. The old you is not evil. It is not a mistake. It is simply a garment that once fit, and now it is suffocating you. The irritation you feel toward your habits, your relationships, your routines, is not a failure. It is your body, your spirit, signaling that the garment must be released. Here lies the paradox. The very patterns you resist are also the messengers of your awakening. The boredom with conversations that once thrilled you, the fatigue you feel in jobs or roles that once seemed secure, the restlessness that makes you question everything. These are not symptoms of despair. They are signs that you are already shifting. The irritation is holy. It is the friction of the cocoon splitting so the butterfly can breathe. Without that tension, you would never be compelled to move. Without the pressure of discomfort, you would never seek release. So when you say, "Why am I repeating the same cycle again?" the answer is not because you are cursed or condemned. It is because the loop is tightening, forcing you to recognize what you once tolerated can no longer be endured. Think of the way an alarm clock grows louder the longer you ignore it. At first it is a gentle sound, easy to dismiss, but as it continues, it becomes unbearable, until finally you must rise. Your repeating life patterns are alarms. They are rising in volume not to torment you, but to wake you. Even the mundane moments carry this message. Notice how your body feels when you walk into a room filled with gossip or negativity. Once you may have joined in, even laughed at it. Now it feels heavy, even sour. Notice how your energy shifts when you scroll endlessly on your phone. Once it distracted you, now it drains you. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs that your inner frequency has changed, and the old vibrations no longer resonate. You are outgrowing what used to sustain you, because you are moving towards something greater that requires. And yet here is the deeper paradox. Growth feels, at first, like death. The old you does not release easily. It clings, because its only mission has been survival. That identity, the achiever, the caretaker, the doubter, was born to protect you. It carried you through storms. It built strategies, defenses, and masks that allowed you to move in a world that often felt unsafe. Honor it, because it did its job. But now, what once saved you is suffocating you. What once protected you is now preventing you. And so you find yourself in the in-between, grieving what you cannot return to, and yearning for what you cannot yet see. It is in this in-between that most people mistake expansion for collapse. They say, "I must be failing because I feel I must be broken because nothing satisfies me anymore." But you are not broken. You are ripening. A fruit must soften before it bursts with sweetness. A seed must crack before it takes root. The breaking you feel is not destruction. It is preparation. Every restless night, every heavy sigh, every quiet moment where you whisper to yourself, there must be more than this. These are not failures, these are contractions before the birth. And yes, it feels uncomfortable, because the old you does not step aside gracefully. It begs to be remembered. It whispers in your ear, stay safe, stay small, don't risk, don't change. But the truth is, the discomfort of staying small has already outweighed the fear of expansion. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening. That's why something in your heart stirs even as these words reach you. You have already chosen to expand, whether your mind admits it or not. Look at your own life for proof. Recall how certain friendships that once felt essential now feel complete. Recall how jobs, places, or roles that once gave you meaning now feel like cages. Recall how dreams you once chased now feel pale compared to the deeper calling rising within you. These are the fingerprints of growth. You are not losing yourself. You are outgrowing what cannot hold the fullness of who you are becoming. The most beautiful paradox is this: letting go does not mean losing. It means finally having room to receive. The snake does not mourn the skin it leaves behind. It revels in the freedom of movement. The butterfly does not long for the cocoon. It delights in the sky. And you too are not here to mourn the old you endlessly. You are here to release it with gratitude, so that the quantum shift already pressing at the edge of your awareness can burst through. Do not mistake the friction for failure. Do not mistake the heaviness for hopelessness. You are in the labor of becoming. The contractions you feel in your relationships, in your habits, in your routines, are the contractions of birth. Something is coming alive that is larger than what you thought yourself to be. And it is urgent, not because time is running out, but because life itself is too vast to let you stay compressed any longer. You are being stretched because the universe has decided that the smaller container of the old you can no longer contain the brilliance you came here to express. So let the discomfort be sacred. Let the irritation be holy. Let the restlessness be a blessing in disguise. For it is proof that you are not stuck. You are expanding. You are not broken. You are outgrowing. And the moment you truly see this, the very moment you honor that truth, the quantum shift is already in motion. This is happening because reality reflects your grip. Every single experience you are having right now is not just random, not just coincidence. It is the mirror of how tightly or loosely you are holding on to who you believe yourself to be. That may sound mystical, but notice it in your daily life and it will become undeniable. When you clutch an identity, when you say, I am always like this, or this is just who I am, or I can't help it, this is me, life responds with agreement. The universe does not argue. It simply nods and says, very well, if that is who you are, then I will keep arranging circumstances to confirm it. It is not punishment. It is resonance. The paradox is that your reality is faithful to you, even when what you are loyal to is your limitation. Imagine holding onto a rope so tightly that your hands burn. The rope may be tied to nothing at all, but the pain in your hands convinces you the rope is your lifeline. That's how most people live, gripping identities that no longer serve them. Identities that are attached to nothing real, yet still causing pain. And the tighter the grip, the more reality twists itself to give evidence that you are right to hold on. See, it says, you are indeed stuck. You are indeed unloved. You are indeed small. But notice carefully, it is not reality saying that. It is your grip summoning that reflection. You have lived this paradox in the simplest ways. Think of a time when you said to yourself, I always attract the wrong people. And then, as if by magic, you met another wrong person. Think of when you said, I'm terrible at handling money, and suddenly your expenses multiplied. Or when you declared, I never get opportunities, and your inbox remained empty. These loops are not curses, they are the echoes of your grip. Your observation, your belief, your attachment to identity is what reality mirrors back. And here is where it gets mysterious. The moment you release the grip, the mirror shifts. When you stop insisting that you are a certain way, life stops arranging itself to prove you right. Just as a balloon rises the instant the hand lets go, your reality reorganizes the moment you loosen your claim on the old you. The change does not come slowly, it comes immediately, though your mind may take time to register it. A subtle encounter, a fresh opportunity, a different inner state. These are the first signs that the reflection has shifted. There is a paradox in letting go, because the old you believes that loosening your grip means losing control. If I stop holding on to this identity, it says, I will fall into chaos. If I release who I think I am, I won't know how to survive. But the truth is, the chaos you fear is already here, hidden inside the grip. The struggle, the exhaustion, the repetition of the same patterns that is the chaos of clutching too tightly. The peace you long for only arrives when your hands open. Surrender does not mean collapse. It means finally allowing life to carry you. Look at how this works in the smallest of daily acts. When you are angry and cling to the thought, they always disrespect me. Every gesture, every word from the other person is filtered through that grip. Even kindness looks suspicious. Even neutrality feels insulting. But if you pause, breathe, and release that story, suddenly the same moment softens. You notice details you couldn't before, the tone, the intention, the humanity of the other person. Reality didn't change, your grip did. And that shift is the essence of transformation. The same is true in bigger arenas of life. Consider the identity of the achiever, the one who says, I must always work hard to prove my worth. The grip of that identity will summon endless tasks, endless striving, endless circumstances that demand effort, without rest. Life reflects the belief so faithfully that you will feel justified in holding on even tight. But the moment you whisper, I release the need to prove my worth, you notice opportunities that come with ease. You feel the flow of support. You realize that your value was never dependent on the grind. Again, reality reorganizes at the speed of your surrender. This is why the old saying is true. You don't see the world as it is. You see the world as you are. And you are as tight or as loose as your grip on the old you allows. To release is to remember that your being is bigger than any identity you have worn. The self you cling to is a mask, and though it may have served you, it is not the totality of who you are. Your essence is vast, like the sky, and identities are merely passing clouds. To grip a cloud is to suffer. To let it drift is to rediscover the sky. But you may ask, how do I let go? How do I release when the grip feels automatic? The secret is not to fight the grip, but to notice it. Awareness itself loosens the hold. The moment you see that you are clutching an identity, you create distance between you and the grip. You recognize that the story is not who you are, but what you are holding. And in that recognition, the fingers of your mind begin to open naturally. You don't force the letting go. You allow it. And here is where destiny enters. You are not being asked to let go in theory. You are being summoned to let go now. The quantum shift is not some distant promise. It is the instant reality reflects your release. This urgency is not pressure. It is possibility. Every day you cling is another day of repeating the loop. Every day you release is another day of stepping into the life you were meant to live. The choice is not abstract. It is alive in this very moment. So ask yourself, what rope are you gripping? What identity do you keep declaring? With your words, your thoughts, your habits. Where do you say, this is just me, even though it feels like a cage? That is the place where your letting go will unlock the shift. That is the place where reality will bend the instant you open your hands. You are not here to clutch the old you until your knuckles bleed. You are here to trust that releasing is not falling into emptiness, but rising into expansion. Reality has always been faithful to your grip. Imagine how faithfully it will serve your freedom once you finally let go. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you already are. Let this truth sink into you, because it dismantles the lie that has been weighing on your shoulders for years. You have been taught to think of transformation as becoming, as climbing toward a future self that is not yet yours, as striving to build a better version out of sheer force and discipline. But that is the illusion. The quantum shift reveals the deeper paradox. You are not creating something new. You are uncovering what has been hidden beneath the rubble of conditioning, belief, and memory. You are returning, not inventing. You are remembering, not constructing. Think of the way you sometimes reconnect with an old friend after years apart. The moment your eyes meet, It is as if no time has passed. The laughter, the bond, the familiarity, all of it rushes back instantly. Nothing needed to be built. It was always there, waiting beneath the years of distance. That is how your essence is. You are not climbing to reach it. You are removing the distance you imagined was real. The old you is the mask you crafted to move through the world. A costume worn for survival. It was necessary at one time, but it was never your true face. Beneath it, unchanged, unbroken, your essence has been waiting patiently. And here is the paradox. All your striving, all your effort to fix yourself or improve yourself, has been keeping you further from the very truth you see. Like polishing the mask instead of removing it, you have been trying to decorate the false self, while the real self stands quietly behind it. The quantum shift does not ask you to build another mask. It asks you to lay the mask down, and the moment you do, you will realize nothing was missing. You have already felt glimpses of this. Think of the moments when you were lost in music, in art, in nature, when for a brief instant you forgot who you were supposed to be. Maybe it was watching the sun rise and feeling that inexplicable peace. Maybe it was losing yourself in dance, when your body moved without thought. Maybe it was laughing so freely with someone that you forgot to guard your words. In those moments you were not striving to become. You were remembering. The real you slipped through, effortlessly, without effort or plan. But the old you fears these glimpses, because they make it irrelevant. The old you whispers, "No, no, you must keep building, you must keep earning, you must keep proving." And so you return to the endless chase. New goals, new achievements, new layers of identity stacked upon the old. Yet no matter how much you add, the hunger remains, because the hunger was never for more. It was for the truth of less. Less pretending, less striving, less noise. The paradox is that you will never be satisfied by what you add. You will only be fulfilled by what you release. Look at a block of marble. To the untrained eye, it is just a solid piece of stone. But to the sculptor, the masterpiece is already inside. Michelangelo once said he did not create the statue of David. He simply removed the stone that hid it. That is you. The masterpiece is already there. You are not chiseling yourself into something you are not. You are releasing what does not belong. Every belief that says I am not enough. Every story that says I must be this or that to be worthy. Every layer of guilt, shame, and doubt. These are the excess stone. The quantum shift is not construction. It is unveiling. Daily life shows this to you in ways so ordinary they are easy to miss. When a child plays, they do not wonder, "Am I enough?" They simply act from their essence. They sing without concern for pitch. They draw without worrying about perfection. They laugh without fearing how they look. That is your natural state. It has always been in you. The old you covered it with rules, fears, and expectations. But beneath it all, the childlike essence remains intact. You have not lost it. You have only forgotten where to look. The remembering begins when you realize that what you are searching for is already woven into your being. You keep waiting for a day when you will feel ready, when you will feel worthy, when you will finally arrive. But you cannot arrive where you already are. The destination is not in front of you, it is within you. Here, now, every step you take is not towards something new, but into deeper layers of remembrance. There is an urgency here, because the longer you chase the illusion of becoming, the longer you postpone the truth of remembering. The old you thrives on delay. It says, "Not yet, not until you fix this, not until you achieve that, not until someone else validates you." And as long as you listen, the mask remains. But the moment you pause and say, "I already am," the mask begins to crumble. Think of how a dream feels when you wake up. Inside the dream, everything feels so real, so urgent. But the instant you awaken, you realize it was all a projection. This is what happens when you let go of the old you. The grip of its stories begins to dissolve. And suddenly you see, I was never broken. I was never small. I was never incomplete. I was only dreaming. And in that awakening, the truth of your essence shines through with a clarity that no striving could ever produce. And yet this is not just for you. The remembering carries a collective purpose. When you peel away your mask, You remind others that they too can put theirs down. Just as one person yawning can spark yawns across a room, one person awakening sparks awakening in others. Your courage to remember becomes permission for others to stop pretending. And as more masks fall away, humanity itself shifts into deeper truth. So release the myth that you must build a new self from scratch. Release the idea that you must become worthy, become awakened, become whole. You already are. The quantum shift is the instant you stop building and start remembering. It is the sacred recognition that what you have been searching for has always been here, hidden in plain sight, waiting for you to notice. And once you see it, truly see it, there is no going back. The old you cannot survive in the light of that remember. The mask falls, the essence breathes, and you stand revealed as who you always were. You are not becoming someone new. You are remembering who you already are. And the urgency of this truth is calling to you now, because the longer you delay, the heavier the mask becomes. The longer you chase, the further the illusion stretches. But the moment you release, the moment you whisper to yourself, I already am, the shift ignites. This is the remembering you came here for. This is the return to your eternal self. This is the quantum shift waiting within you now. The resistance you feel is proof of the threshold. It may not feel that way when you are in the thick of it, when fear grips your chest, when doubt circles your mind like vultures, when every step forward seems to meet with invisible pushback. In those moments you often think something is wrong. If I were truly ready, it would be easier. If this path were meant for me, it would flow. But the paradox is that the trembling, the shaking, the obstacles, these are not signs of failure. They are confirmations that you are brushing against the very edge of transformation. You are touching the seam between the old you and the emerging you, and the seam always resists before it breaks. Think of a seed underground. Before it breaks open, it resists with everything it has, holding itself together, clinging to the shell that has defined it. The pressure builds until it feels unbearable, and in that unbearable moment the split happens. The shell cracks, the sprout pushes upward, and what looked like destruction was actually the beginning of life. Your resistance works in the same way. It is not stopping you, it is stretching you. The tension is proof that the old shell is giving way, that the life hidden within you is pressing to be revealed. You have felt this in your daily life more times than you may realize. Every time you stood on the edge of change, resistance whispered. Before leaving a relationship that no longer nourished you, fear rose like a wall saying, what if you are alone forever? Before speaking a truth that burned in your chest, doubt said, what if they judge you? What if they turn away? Before taking a leap toward a dream, the old you pulled back, reminding you of every failure in your past. That voice, that pull, that hesitation, it is not the voice of truth. It is the echo of the old you begging to stay alive. And yet here is the paradox again. Resistance means you are close. The old you does not stir when you are standing still. It does not protest when you repeat the same routines, the same patterns, the same cycles. It only begins to scream when you are about to step beyond it. Just like an alarm only rings when it is time to wake, resistance only rises when it is time to grow. So when you feel that inner shaking, instead of saying, I must not be ready, recognize it as the surest sign that you are already moving forward. Look at the way a muscle grows. When you lift weight, the muscle trembles, fibers tearing slightly under the pressure. It is not a sign that the muscle is too weak. It is the very process that makes it stronger. Without the trembling, there would be no growth. Without the breaking, there would be no expansion. The same principle lives in you. The trembling in your chest before you step onto a new path, the quiver of fear before you speak, the shaking of doubt before you leap. These are not stop signs, they are sacred signals. They tell you that the muscle of your identity is expanding, preparing to hold more of who you really are. But the old you is clever. It disguises resistance as logic. It whispers rational explanations for why you should not change. It's not the right time. It's too risky. You should wait until you're stronger, wealthier, more confident. And yet notice, the right time never comes. The conditions never feel perfect. That is because the perfection you are waiting for does not exist in the future. It exists in the courage to move now. The path only appears after the step, never before. That is the law of the threshold. You may think of resistance as a test, but it is not a test to punish you. It is a test to prove to you that you are ready. The universe does not place resistance in your way to keep you small. It rises so that you can see the strength within you that you did not know was there. Just as the sprout must push against the soil to reach the sun, you must push against resistance to discover your own life. The soil is not your enemy. It is the very force that strengthens you on your way out of the dark. This is why some of your greatest breakthroughs have come right after your greatest struggles. Think back to the times you nearly gave up, when you said, "I can't keep going." And yet when you pushed through, when you leaned into the trembling instead of retreating, something shifted. A new opportunity appeared, a relationship deepened, a piece of yourself you thought was gone reawakened. It is always at the breaking point that the breakthrough arrives. There is something urgent in this truth, because many stop at the edge of resistance. They mistake it for the end and retreat, running back to the familiar comfort of the old you. They return to the relationship, the habit, the identity, telling themselves, "It wasn't the right time." But you are different. Because you are hearing this now, you are being reminded that resistance is not the end. It is the sign of the beginning. And this moment right here, where you feel torn between retreat and release, is your threshold. So how do you step through? Not by fighting the resistance, not by silencing the fear, but by allowing it to exist without obeying it. You hear the voice of doubt and you move anyway. You feel the pull of fear and you step anyway. You let the trembling live in your chest and you walk forward with it as a companion. The paradox is that the resistance loses power the moment you stop believing. It is a barrier and start recognizing it as a signpost. It is not there to block you. It is there to point you toward the doorway of your expansion. When you feel the shaking, when you feel the fear, remind yourself, this is sacred. This is the labor of transformation. Just as a mother's contractions intensify right before the child is born, your resistance intensifies right before the new self emerges. And just like labor, the pain is not a punishment. It is a passage. What is coming through you is larger than what is holding you back. You are standing at the edge of your cocoon, and yes, the wings feel fragile, untested, uncertain, but they will never strengthen inside the safety of the shell. The only way to discover their power is to use them, and the shaking you feel, the trembling against the walls of the old you, is not a reason to stay inside. It is the proof that you are ready to fly. So do not curse the resistance. Do not call it failure. Call it what it truly is. The sound of the old you breaking apart, the song of the threshold, the sign that the quantum shift is already pressing against your reality. Every time you feel it, know this: you are closer than you realize. You are not stuck. You are in the doorway, and the doorway only opens for those who dare to step through. This is not about destroying the old you. It's about releasing your attachment to it. That may sound subtle, but it is the difference between struggle and liberation. For so long, you have believed that transformation meant fighting against yourself, waging war on the parts of you that felt small, weak, or broken. You've tried to cut them out, to silence them, to bury them, thinking that freedom meant annihilation. But the old you is not your enemy. It was the self that carried you to this threshold, the self that endured, the self that survived. To hate it is to hate the very bridge that brought you here. The invitation now is not to destroy, but to release, to set down what no longer serves you with gratitude, not with violence. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with stones. Each stone is a story, a belief, a role you once had to play. The achiever who never stopped proving, the caretaker who put everyone else first, the doubter who questioned their every step, the survivor who endured pain silently. For a time, these stones felt necessary. They gave you weight when you were afraid of floating away. They gave you structure when the world felt uncertain. They helped you belong, even if belonging meant shrinking. But now, as you stand on the edge of expansion, The backpack is unbearably heavy. You are trying to climb into the new with stones tied to your shoulders, and every step feels exhausting. The quantum shift does not ask you to climb harder. It asks you to put the backpack down. And here lies the paradox. When you first remove the stones, you may feel naked, even exposed. You may think, without these, who am I? For so long, your identity has been defined by what you carried, that you have mistaken the weight for yourself. But the truth is, you are not the stones, you are the one who carried them. The moment you release them, you discover the lightness that was always yours. You realize you were never meant to hold them forever. They were temporary companions, lessons that shaped you, but not definitions of you. Think of how you have outgrown roles in your everyday life. At one time, you may have believed you had to be the responsible one, the strong one, the one who never asked for help. That role may have protected you when no one else could. But now, clinging to it only isolates you. Or perhaps you once believed you had to be the joker, the one who hid pain behind laughter. That mask kept others from seeing your wounds. But now, it keeps others from seeing your truth. These roles were brilliant strategies at one time, but they are not your essence. Releasing them does not mean betraying yourself. It means honoring that you no longer need them. This release is not destruction. It is not about rejecting the old you, but about thanking it for what it gave you. You might even say, I honor you. You kept me alive. You helped me survive. But I no longer need you to lead me. Just as a child thanks the training wheels before riding freely, you can thank the old you before stepping into the vastness of who you really are. Without gratitude, release feels like violence. With gratitude, release feels like liberation. You may notice this release happening in small, ordinary ways. Maybe you suddenly lose interest in conversations that revolve around gossip or complaint. Maybe you notice that the music, the shows, the environments that once felt entertaining now feel heavy. Maybe you realize you no longer have the energy to pretend in relationships that require you to shrink. These are not random mood changes. They are signs that the backpack is loosening on your shoulders, that you are setting down stones without even realizing it. The things that once defined you are no longer resonating because your frequency has changed. But here is where the old you often resists. It says, if I let this go, I'll have nothing left. If I put down the stones, who will I be? And this fear is understandable, because the mind is conditioned to believe that identity equals safety. Yet what you will discover is that the release does not leave you empty. It makes you spacious. When you set down the stones, your hands are finally free to receive. The relationships, the opportunities, the insights waiting for you cannot enter while your grip is full. The old you carried survival. The new you receives expansion. The paradox is that holding on feels like control, but it is actually the heaviest form of bondage. Letting go feels like risk, but it is the only path to freedom. When you hold onto the stones, you move through life hunched, exhausted, repeating the same loops because the weight keeps you grounded in the familiar. When you release them, you rise, and the very ground beneath you shifts to meet the new frequency of your being. The quantum shift does not demand force, it demands surrender. And this surrender is not passive. It is the most courageous act you can make. Anyone can stay loyal to pain because it is familiar. But it takes courage to open your hands, to step into the unknown, to say, I trust that without this weight, I will not fall. I will fly. This is why your release is sacred. It is not only for you. Every time you let go of a stone, every time you release a mask, you send ripples into the collective field. You show others that it is possible. You give silent permission for them to put down their own burdens. Your liberation becomes a mirror that awakens them. So notice now, what stones are you carrying? What roles still cling to you? Where are you insisting, this is who I must be? Even as your soul whispers, you are more than this. That whisper is the invitation. That whisper is the reminder that you are already free, already vast, already whole. The stones are not you. They are what you picked up along the way. And the moment you recognize that, the moment you loosen your grip, the backpack slides off your shoulders, and the weight dissolves. This is not about destroying the old you. It never was. It is about honoring it, thanking it, and then releasing it. You do not need to tear yourself apart to expand. You need only to let go of the stories that no longer serve. And when you do, you will discover a lightness so profound that you will wonder how you ever carried the weight for so long. The quantum shift happens not in the violence of battle, but in the softness of surrender. And the invitation is urgent, because every day you cling to the stones is another day you delay your flight. So release, not with anger, not with hatred, with gratitude. Say goodbye to the old you as you would to a beloved teacher, whose lessons are complete. Let the backpack slide off. Let your hands open and feel, perhaps for the first time in a long time, what it means to walk unburdened into the destiny that has always been yours. This is happening because the self you thought you were has never truly existed in the way you imagined. The old you is a story written out of necessity, a costume worn so you could navigate the world, a mask that fit the stage you once had to play upon. But a mask, no matter how convincing, is not the face beneath. The paradox is that you have been searching for your authentic self while clinging to the very disguise that obscures it. And so life has conspired, through cycles of repetition, through patterns you can no longer ignore, to pull that mask away. Not to embarrass you, not to strip you bare in cruelty, but to reveal that beneath the mask, you are already whole, already radiant, already free. You may have noticed that the old you resists with a ferocity that feels almost alive. It protests, "Without me you will be nothing. Without me you will have no place, no identity, no safety." And because this voice is familiar, it is easy to mistake it for truth. But look closer. Has this voice ever given you peace? Has clinging to the old you ever brought you lasting fulfillment? Or has it kept you looping in cycles of striving, of trying, of pretending, all while whispering that something is missing? The truth is that what you have called you is a construct, a bundle of stories layered by family, culture, fear, and desire. This construct was never solid. It only felt real because you gave it your belief. Think of the times you introduced yourself. "I am this, I do that, I've been through this." You may not have noticed, but each description was a frame, a limitation, a way of carving infinite being into a manageable story. There is nothing wrong with stories. They are how humans share, connect, and understand. But the mistake is in believing that the story is the self. The self cannot be captured by words, because the self is not fixed. It is not bound. It is an ever-expanding field of awareness, constantly shifting, constantly unfolding. The old you believed you were the character in the story. The deeper truth is that you are the page upon which all stories are written. And this is why the quantum shift is so radical. It is not about creating a better story for the old you. It is not about polishing the mask, upgrading the role, or building a shinier identity. That is still playing within the dream. The shift is about seeing through the illusion of the story altogether. It is about remembering that you are the witness, the awareness, the consciousness in which every identity rises and falls. And when you recognize this, the old you cannot hold you anymore. Its power dissolves, not because you destroyed it, but because you stopped feeding it belief. Consider how dreams work. Within a dream, you may believe fully that you are being chased, or that you are flying, or that you are someone else entirely. In the dream, it feels real. But the moment you awaken, you realize none of it had the solidity you imagined. The old you is the dream character. You are the dreamer. Awakening means recognizing that you are not trapped inside the character's fate. You are the one imagining it all. And once you see this, you cannot go back. The illusion loses its grip. Yet paradoxically, this does not mean the old you disappears overnight. Masks may fall away gradually. Patterns may dissolve slowly. Sometimes you may catch yourself slipping back into old scripts, saying the same lines you've always said, playing the same role you've always played. And that is okay. The shift is not a single moment of perfection. It is an unfold. What matters is that you now see the play for what it is. The moment you see yourself slipping into the costume, you are no longer bound by it. You may still wear it, but you know it is not you, and that awareness is liberation. Think of the times you've noticed yourself in autopilot, repeating an old argument, falling into an old fear, reacting the way you always have. In the past, you thought this is just who I am, but now, something deeper observes. Ah, there is the old you again, playing out the familiar script. That observing presence, that space of awareness, is who you truly are. The old you is happening within you, not as you. This is the revelation that changes everything. You are not becoming something new. You are remembering what you already are, and in that remembering, the urgency grows, because the longer you cling to the old you, the more suffocating it feels. What once felt comfortable now feels too tight, like a garment you've outgrown. Life will not let you stay in it forever, because your destiny is too vast to be confined. That is why the old you feels heavier now than ever before. It is not punishment. It is the universe saying you cannot carry this any longer. It is time to awaken. And yet here is the paradox again. The old you was never truly in control. Even in its illusions, it was always guided. Even in its resistance, it was leading you here. The patterns that once trapped you were the very patterns that forced you to question. The suffering you thought was a curse was actually a compass, pointing you toward this realization. Without the old you, you may never have sought truth. So bless it, honor it, but do not mistake it for your essence. The quantum shift is not about replacing one illusion with another. It is about dissolving the illusion altogether. It is about remembering that who you are cannot be contained in names, in roles, in history. You are not the character. You are the field in which the character exists. You are not the story. You are the space in which stories are told. You are not the old you. You are the eternal presence that has always been here, waiting for you to notice. And notice now, because this is your moment. This is the turning point. The more you cling to the old you, the more painful it becomes. The more you release, the more expansive you feel. The old you will try to hold you back, whispering its familiar warnings. But you are wiser now. You can hear those whispers for what they are, echoes of a mask dissolving. Do not be fooled. Do not return to the dream. You are awake, and the world is waiting for the full radiance of your being. This is your role in the collective shift. Every time you unmask yourself, you help unmask the world. Every time you dissolve a false identity, you loosen the illusion for others. This awakening is not personal. It is cosmic, and it begins here, with you, in this moment, daring to let the old you finally dissolve. The moment you begin to let go, even in the smallest ways, something remarkable starts to happen. The ground beneath you shifts, and life itself responds to your surrender. You may think you are the one taking a step, but the truth is that the universe is already meeting you halfway. This is the paradox of release. You do not lose anything when you let go. You gain alignment. The moment you set down what no longer belongs to you, space is created, and that space is immediately filled with the frequency of what does belong to you. It may not arrive as fireworks or dramatic signs, but it begins to show itself in subtle synchronicities, the right words at the right time, the gentle nudge of intuition, the unexpected opportunity that seems to appear out of nowhere. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations that the field has shifted, because you have shifted. You may recall moments in your life where you were clinging desperately to an outcome, to a person, to an image of who you thought you had to be. And during those times, everything felt stagnant, heavy, immovable. Yet the instant you loosened your grip, even reluctantly, new possibilities began to unfold. Perhaps you finally walked away from a relationship that drained you, and suddenly, you found friendships that nourished you. Perhaps you left behind a job that suffocated your spirit, and almost immediately a new path emerged that felt aligned with your heart. You thought the world outside had changed, but it was you who had changed, and the external only reflected your new internal frequency. This is the essence of the quantum shift. Reality bends not when you fight harder, but when you release more deeply. The old you believed effort was the engine of change. The truth is that surrender is the engine of transformation, and yet surrender is not weakness. It is the greatest strength, because it requires trust. To cling is easy. To release demands faith in what cannot yet be seen, and when you embody that faith, life rushes to support you, because the field of possibility always organizes itself around your vibration. The paradox is that when you stop striving to control reality, reality finally flows in your favor. You were never meant to drag the river into shape with your hands. You were meant to step into its current and allow it to carry you. The current has always been there, waiting. The old you was building dams, trying to hold the flow, convinced it knew best. But when you release, when you let the waters move, they carry you into landscapes you never could have engineered with effort alone. This is why surrender feels so terrifying to the old you, and so liberating to the true self. You can witness this in daily moments, in the simplest of ways. Notice how, when you are tense, even small tasks seem impossible. A conversation feels forced, creativity dries up, time feels heavy. But when you take a breath, when you soften, when you release the need to control the outcome, suddenly words flow, inspiration returns, time expands. Nothing changed except you. You are the pivot point. You are the tuning fork that the universe is responding to. And the more you let go of rigidity, the more fluid life becomes. It is important to recognize that this is not about passivity. Letting go does not mean abandoning action. It means aligning action with flow, rather than resist. When you release the old you, you no longer act from fear, from obligation, from the weight of expectation. Instead, you act from clarity, from inspiration, from a sense of resonance. And actions born from resonance ripple farther than 1,000 actions born from struggle. This is how letting go creates acceleration. You are no longer pushing against the tide. You are moving with it. Perhaps you have experienced this already in ways you didn't fully recognize. Think of the times when you surrendered a problem you couldn't solve, and the solution arrived when you least expected it, or when you stopped chasing validation from someone, and suddenly they began to see you differently, or when you stopped doubting your worth, and opportunities that matched your confidence began to appear. These are not accidents. They are demonstrations of the law of resonance. What you release in resistance returns to you in harmony. And yet the old you will whisper, "But what if nothing comes to replace what I let go of? What if I end up empty, abandoned, lost?" This fear is the last illusion it clings to, the last strategy to keep you back. But hear this clearly: emptiness is not a void to fear. It is a womb of creation. What you call emptiness is actually spaciousness, and spaciousness is the canvas upon which new life paints itself. The universe abhors a vacuum. The moment you let go, new energy rushes in. It cannot be otherwise. Release is the invitation. Fulfillment is the response. The urgency is real because this is not simply about your personal freedom. When you let go, you shift the field for everyone. The heaviness you drop ripples outward. The old patterns you dissolve break chains in the collective. Your act of surrender becomes a signal to others that they too can release. Imagine a field of people all clinging to their stones. One person opens their hand and drops the weight. Others see it and realize, "I can do that too." Before long, the entire field begins to lighten, not because anyone was forced, but because one person dared to show the way. You are that person. You are the one chosen to initiate the ripple. That is why this moment feels so charged, so pressed. Your release is not only your liberation, it is the world's liberation through you. So notice where life is pressing you now. Notice the roles that feel too small, the beliefs that suffocate, the relationships that dim your light. These are the signals that the old you is dissolving, that the quantum shift is ready to happen. You do not need to fight them. You need only to release them. And the moment you do, life will rush in with confirmation. Synchronicities will increase. Guidance will sharpen. Joy will arise for no reason at all. And you will know without doubt that the shift has already begun. You are not being asked to leap blindly. You are being asked to open your hands. You are not being asked to abandon yourself. You are being asked to return to yourself. You are not being asked to become someone new. You are being asked to remember who you have always been. And this remembering is urgent, because the time for the old you is over. The new you is not waiting in the distance. It is here, now, pulsing beneath your skin, whispering in your heart, urging you to step into the vastness that has always been yours. So let go, not as an act of loss, but as an act of trust. Let go as an offering, as a declaration that you are ready, and watch as life rushes to meet you in your release, carrying you into the reality that has been waiting all along. And now we arrive at the final unveiling, the threshold where all the strands of this journey converge into one truth. You are standing at the edge of the old you and the new, and you may feel the trembling in your chest, the fluttering of uncertainty, the weight of anticipation. This is not weakness, this is initiation. Every cell in your body knows you are on the brink of something irreversible, something vast, something that cannot be undone. And perhaps you have asked yourself, why me? Why now? Why am I hearing this message in this moment? The answer is simple yet profound. Because you are ready. Not in the sense that you feel prepared, not in the sense that you understand every step ahead, but in the sense that life has conspired to bring you here, and the path cannot be denied any longer. The old you whispers, stay, it's safer here. You know these walls, even if they have become your prison. But the new you whispers louder now, come, the gates are open. The prison was never locked. You were always free. And here is the paradox. You were never trapped at all. The chains were made of beliefs, the walls built of stories, the locks fashioned from fear. And yet, even knowing this, you may hesitate, because freedom feels terrifying when you have lived your whole life as though bound. The chains are gone, but the memory of their weight lingers. This is why courage is required, not because danger is real, but because the illusion of danger still echoes in the mind. Look around you. The signs of initiation have already appeared. The endings that seemed harsh, the changes that felt unfair, the opportunities that arrived out of nowhere, all of these have been shaping you for this very moment. You are not late, you are not behind, you are right on time, standing at the cusp of your own becoming. The quantum shift is not something you chase. It happens the instant you say yes, the instant you release the old you completely. And when that happens, reality rearranges itself with a speed that will astonish you. Doors will open that you never even knew were there. Paths will appear where there once were only walls. People will show up carrying keys you didn't know you had been waiting for. But make no mistake, this is not a casual step. This is not dabbling in change or testing the waters of transformation. This is a sacred crossing, and it asks for your whole heart. Half surrender is still bondage. A hand still clinging to the old you cannot grasp the gifts of the new. You cannot carry both identities into the next phase. The old you must be laid to rest with reverence, and the new you must be stepped into with devotion. And yet, paradoxically, the new you is not new at all. It is the original you, the self that has always been here, beneath the masks, beneath the stories, beneath the survival pattern. You are not creating yourself. You are unveiling yourself. You may wonder, what if I fail? What if I let go and I am not enough? But the truth is, failure belongs to the old you, because only the old you measured life in success and failure, in gain and loss, in worthiness and unworthiness. The new you knows that every step is unfolding exactly as it must. The new you does not play the game of comparison, does not measure itself against others, does not strive to become what it already is. The new you lives in remembrance, in presence, in flow. And that is why this is your initiation. Because stepping into this state is not just about your personal liberation. It is about becoming a living transmission of what is possible. When you cross this threshold, you do not walk alone. Others who are searching, yearning, aching for freedom will feel the shift in you. Without you saying a word, they will sense that something is different, that you carry a lightness, a radiance, a resonance that speaks louder than any lecture. You will become a mirror, and in your reflection they will recognize their own potential. This is how the collective shifts, one awakening rippling into another, one release igniting countless others. This is why your choice matters. It is not only about you, it is about all of us. And here is the urgency. The world is calling for the new you. The collective weight of fear, division, and illusion has become unbearable, And every soul who dares to release the old and embody the new adds to the rising frequency of liberation. You may think your life is small, your influence limited, but there is no such thing as a small awakening. Every vibration you embody ripples outward into the field, touching lives you may never meet, altering the course of events you may never see. This is your role in the collective shift, and it is sacred beyond measure. So ask yourself now, will you cling, or will you release? Will you repeat, or will you remember? Will you remain in the story of the old you, or will you step into the infinite truth of the new? This choice cannot be postponed indefinitely. The more you delay, the heavier the old you becomes. The more you resist, the more painful the illusion grows. Life will not let you stay small forever, because life is on your side, and life demands expansion. That is why you feel the tension so intensely now. It is not punishment, it is pressure, designed to push you into your true self. And so, the initiation is simple, though not easy. Open your hands, release the weight, breathe into the spaciousness, say yes to the unknown. Trust the current that has always been carrying you, even when you thought you were lost. Step across the threshold, not as a seeker, but as one who has remembered. Let the old you dissolve with gratitude, and let the new you rise with reverence. The quantum shift does not wait for someday. It happens the moment you choose, the moment you surrender, the moment you let go. And now I say to you directly, this is that moment. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more ready, not when the world gives you permission. Now, this is your sacred initiation. This is the doorway into the life that has been waiting for you since the beginning. Step through it with courage, with trust, with devotion. Release what you are not, embody what you are, and become the living transmission of freedom that the world is calling forth. The old you is already gone, the new you is already here, and the shift has already begun. So here you stand, on the edge of the old and the beginning of the infinite. The quantum shift is not waiting in some distant future. It ignites the very moment you let go of the old you. This is your initiation. Release, step forward, and claim the destiny that has been waiting for you since the beginning.